Mr. Pippin's lemonade. It was a very hot day, and Mr. Pippin was fast asleep in the garden when his wife woke him up. "Pippin, Pippin," she called, "where are you? I've made some lovely lemonade, and I want you to take it to the market and sell it to all the passers-by for 10p a cup. It's such a hot day that folks will buy a lot, and then we shall have a chance to make ourselves some money." Mr. Pippin didn't want to walk to the market on a hot day one little bit, but he knew he would have to, so he got up and took the big can of lemonade from his wife. She gave him a lot of little cups and ran a string through their handles so that he would be able to carry them all easily over his shoulder. Off he went to the market. Now, on the way, he tasted the lemonade, and he thought it was very good.
"My," said Mr. Pippin, "that really is splendid lemonade. I shall easily sell the lot. I should think there's quite enough in the can to fill 40 cups. That means 40 10p pieces, which is £4. Ah, that's a lot of money."
Mr. Pippin became really quite excited.
"If I had £4, I would be able to buy some of Mrs. Biscuit's buns, which are only 5p each, put some jam in the middle, and then sell them for 10p each," he said to himself, walking along just as fast as he could. "Oh, 80 buns would put £8 into my pocket. I should then buy a hen to lay eggs. The eggs would hatch out into chicks, and I could sell them all. I should soon have quite enough money to buy myself a goat."
He was so excited at the thought of having a goat of his own that he stopped quite still.
"A goat? Why, I could sell its milk and make a great deal of money, enough to buy a sheep perhaps. Think of having a nice woolly sheep. It could feed in the field behind my cottage, and each year it would give me plenty of wool. Soon I should get enough money from my wool to buy a horse. The horse could live in the field too. I would let the farmers borrow it for £10 a day. They would be sure to pay that much for a good horse like mine. How rich I should be!"
On and on he walked, and soon he could see the market in the distance. He was glad because his can of lemonade was getting very heavy.
"When I am rich, I will never ever walk to market again," he said. "I will ride in my carriage, and I shall get a brand new coat for myself and a new hat."
He was so pleased that he skipped a few steps, and some of the lemonade in the can flew out, splashing away in the road.
"I shall buy a fine new cottage too," he said. "My own is so damp, and it only has 2 small rooms. Oh, shan't I be grand? I shall walk with my head held high in the air, and I shall order everyone about and tell them just what to do."
Mr. Pippin felt so grand that he didn't look where he was going, and he very nearly fell into the ditch. That frightened him, and he walked slowly to the market, looking carefully where he was going in case he should spill any more of his lemonade. At last he got to the market, and he sat down on the curb by his can of lemonade. He was so excited with thinking of all the grand plans he had made that his cheeks were as red as fire, and his eyes were shining bright.
"You look very, very happy today, Pippin," said Mrs. String, the farmer's wife. "Have you found some money somewhere, or something like that?" "No," said Mr. Pippin. "I'm going to be very rich. That's why I'm happy."
"How are you going to be rich?" asked Mrs. String, who didn't believe that a lazy fellow like Pippin would ever earn any money.
"Well, I shall sell this lemonade, and then with it I shall buy some of Mrs. Biscuit's buns, which I'll sell for 10p each, with jam in," said Mr. Pippin, excited. "Then I'll buy a hen who can lay me some eggs, and then they hatch out, and I'll sell them and buy a goat. Oh, and I'll soon be rich."
Dame Wimple and Farmer Slap came up to hear Mr. Pippin talking. They smiled when they heard him talking about being rich.
"Ha! You may well smile," replied Mr. Pippin. "I shall sell my goat's milk and buy a sheep, and sell its wool and buy a horse, and I'll hire out my horse to you, Farmer Slap, for £10 a day." "I shouldn't pay you £1," said Farmer Slap, and he laughed. "You won't get rich, Pippin." I will, cried Mr. Pippin, and he grew red in the face again. "Oh, I'll be very grand indeed. I'll buy a new coat and a new hat and a carriage to drive about in, and I'll buy a new cottage, and I'll buy a great big dog." "Whatever for?" asked Farmer Slap. "To set loose when you come to see me," cried Mr. Pippin angrily. "Yes, that will make you frightened all right. I'll turn him loose as soon as you get inside my gate, and he will rush at you barking as loudly as he can, and you can run away and try your best to dodge him, like this." Mr. Pippin pretended that a dog was after him, and he dodged from side to side, pretending to be very much frightened. But alas, he didn't look where he was going, and he stepped right into his can of lemonade. Over it went, and Mr. Pippin went with it. He was completely soaked in the sticky lemonade, and a very sorry sight he looked when he got up. Oh, he groaned. "There goes my lemonade, and my buns, and my hen, and my eggs, and my goat, and my sheep, and my horse. and my new coat and hat and my carriage. You shouldn't have been so spiteful as to set your imaginary dog on me, said Farmer Slap, laughing. He serves you right. Poor Mr. Pippin. I do feel quite sorry for him. Don't you?